A species is a population of organisms that through evolution, through natural selection, and over time, has developed the capacity to exchange by genetic material. And through this continuous sharing, have acquired particular characteristics, mental and physical, and behaviors. And through this have become more and more dependent on each other, sometimes to the point of social behavior, although not always. There are species that exchanged by genetic material, such as bears, let's say, or tigers, which never unite into a social unity. Social unities are the product of a weakness. That is, in a species where the individual cannot survive on its own, it usually tries to include itself within a larger unity. This is called herd psychology. It develops to herd psychology. So a species is a sexual designation. It's a reproductive designation. It has no other meaning outside of that. Now, how species are formed and how they splinter off of one another, creating the multiplicity of life that we see around us, is easy to understand, but much more difficult to accept. In order for a break, a splintering off to occur between populations, there has to be a period of genetic isolation. Let me give you an example. Let's say we take 10 cats and we put them on an island where they have no contact with any other cat in the world. This cat population will, in time, develop traits particular to that population, as it is also affected by the environment of that island. If that isolation persists over a longer period of time, then a total break might occur, where if contact is remade with other cats, they no longer have anything in common. They cannot even exchange genetic material anymore. At this point, there are different species, but we see intermediate stages of this. For instance, if you look at horses and asses, they can exchange genetic materials, producing a mule, but the mule is unfit. That is, it's sterile. It cannot reproduce itself. The same goes for tigers and lions and other species. Now, in the case of humans and the races, we can see that a period of genetic isolation has occurred, but it wasn't sufficient to create a complete or even a near complete rift. So the different races can still exchange genetic materials, and so we still belong to the same species, albeit this period of genetic isolation has had dramatic effects, not only in appearance, because appearance is a manifestation of essence. Appearance and essence are not two separate things, no more than a mind is different than the body. So it's not only physically that the races are different, but also mentally and psychologically. Not wanting to go too off track, we've established that species is a reproductive identification. That is, its only meaning is as a reproductive unity, a group of individuals, of organisms that through time and through genetic exchanges have become more and more codependent, and through this have also developed specialized roles of reproduction, such as are the male and the female, each with its particular role, and whatever role this is imposing upon the individual particular physical and mental characteristics. So not all are equal or the same. Therefore, when a female or a feminist says, I want to be free from my sex's characteristics, claiming that men invented them, when in fact men merely manipulate nature. They don't invent nature. Men do not invent how females are, how they think. or what proclivities they have, or what weaknesses they have, or what inferiorities or superiorities they have. Men simply manipulate, exploit nature, try to dominate nature. When feminists accuse men of inventing gender, for example, they are either being obtuse or hypocritical, or they're just ignorant. Gender is the social application of a sexual type. That's all it is. Now, each social application is different because there are different cultures and different social systems. But the sexual type being applied is always the same. When a feminist distances herself from this sexual role and yet wants to retain the label of woman, this is a contradiction and disingenuous and stupid. In the same way that when MRAs distance themselves from the masculine, the male role, with whatever burdens and risks and costs and privileges this has, and yet want to retain the label of male, this too is disingenuous and hypocritical and stupid. To be a male is not only to have testicles as ornaments. The sexual organs developed to replicate a species. They have a reproductive purpose. Now, if some use them for other reasons, then people should look for the reasons within the psychology of the individual, or the degeneration of the system that allows it, or permits it, or shelters this kind of behavior. The sex has become, like I said before in another video, entertainment, a pastime, or an escape, a hedonistic escape, which is akin to materialism. Materialism and hedonism are closely related. In effect, what these feminists and these MRAs are implying is that they want to have a good time while paying none of the costs. They don't want no responsibilities, no risks, and all the benefits. In other words, they want to remain children. Now, in French, there's a word for this. It's called en retard, late to develop. Another word for it is stunted, but the one I prefer is retarded, the English version of it. So these people are retarded, stunted psychologically. They want to remain children. They want to play and have a good time and feel good. Yet they want none of the burdens, the costs, the risks of being a mature, living organism. So that's why they go crying to the system. The system is their parent, who must protect them from injustice. They just want the system to be fair, so that all play and have fun in the same way. This too is a form of degeneration and decay, and it usually is a symptom of a civilization's decline. And I think the West, at least the US of A, is in a decline, and this is reflected in their in the breakup of the family unit and in its lacks of control over its population. One of the reasons why in the United States a lot of this is permitted or even accepted and desired by the system is because the United States is quintessentially a Judeo-Christian miasma. That is, upon the ruins of Rome, a new civilization is being built, a culture of no culture, as I call it. This means that within the borders of the United States, a nihilistic uniformity is being imposed, a melting pot, if you will. And this melting pot means that all must be boiled into a meaningless uniform paste. Now, I don't want to get into the specifics of the United States and its unique paternalistic system. I just want to say that the United States is the most sophisticated form of the authoritarian system of patriarchy. and it's one that promotes within its borders, within its control, a uniformity by teaching that equality for all. This is a form of leveling everything down to a manageable state, when the only distinction permitted within it is the distinction acquired through the system itself. In other words, in the United States, this is fame and fortune. So in the United States, its nihilism is expressed in this outward desire to level or to eradicate all competing forms of patriarchy. At the moment, it happens to be Islam, and internally it preaches an eradication of all internal forms of masculinity and patriarchy. With the diminishment of the family, this becomes more and more easily because, well, for these reasons, I'm gonna go through. The first thing to keep in mind is, whereas in the past patriarchy was dealing with a homogeneous population, in the United States and modern social systems, we're talking about heterogeneous. That is, people from different cultures living, cohabitating together, following the same rules. In order to achieve this, all sources of foreign patriarchy or masculinity must be eradicated. The elimination of the family unit is favorable to the system that seeks to integrate peoples from all over the world with different cultures, different principles, different backgrounds, different racial and bloodlines, and make them into one cohesive paste, as I said. To do this, the least common denominator has to be sought. I'm not going to get into what this least common denominator is or how it's promoted. I'm just going to stay with the subject of the family. By eliminating the family, the system gets rid of a source, like I said, of a competing mean. By pretty much eradicating the father as a source of this mean from the child's life, the system makes sure that the child will acquire all its training from the system itself. Just as the female breaks away from the male, the biological male, and submits herself to the system directly, now gaining from it the rewards of parity with everybody else and the rewards of servitude, so too, by eliminating the father, the child becomes vulnerable to all external or systemic sources of mind control, because as the mind develops from an early age, it seeks out authority, seeks out guidance, and when the father is missing, the only source of guidance it has is the system itself. The system, by emasculating the males, or by forcing them to repeat the system's principles and rules and myths as if they were true, without diverting from them, and by forcing parents to bring up children in accordance to its standards, its desires, is essentially stepping into the role of parent and directly manipulating children from birth. In the past, this was only possible through education. Now it's possible throughout the child's life. In the past, the child might have contradicting sources of authority. He might get one message from the state and one message from his father. By eliminating the father from the middle, and by placing the child in the custody of the woman, most often, a woman which is more easily integrated within the system and accepts whatever authority is present, the system makes sure that the child will be brought up in accordance with its desires. The man must be eliminated if he does not submit and become a surrogate female, repeating, in effect, just like women do, the cultural, the social morals and memes